The Qigong master Li Hongji had numerous students. There were bound to be a Judas or two. During the initial period when Mr. Li was spreading Falun Gong, a few of the practice activity coordinators from Changchun City violated multiple times the stipulations of Falun Gong. They embezzled and diverted the extremely tight funds the practice was working with, and tampered with its exercises. Mr. Li repeatedly showed patience to the group, sources told. But they continued down that path and ended up turning against Falun Gong. Beginning in 1994, the group wrote letters to 13 ministries and commissions directly under the State Council, lodging false accusations against Falun Gong. They wrote 3 volumes enumerating 12 charges, which though lacking factual basis, amounted to 1,000 pages. It's this very same material that would later become, in 1999, a subterfuge for the CCP when it launched its suppression of Falun Gong. In February 9, 1995, the Falun Gong Research Society of China submitted 3 detailed reports to China's Scientific Qigong Research Association and other departments. Many leaders were surprised upon learning the truth of the matter. They responded, "Falun Gong is so good, why didn't you contact us early? We didn't know about you. Please keep us posted in the future." And that ended the 1994 episode of the defamatory materials. Back in February in 1980, the first conference on extraordinary somatic functioning was held in Shanghai. In Beijing, Hu Yaobang, the General Secretary of the CCP at the time, to prove the existing of the supernatural ability, personally wrote a note on a piece of paper and sealed it in a container. No one but he knew its content. He asked his secretary to take the sealed note to the conference. His secretary returned to Beijing with his note still sealed, along with the wording, read from the sealed note by the person with supernatural abilities. Hu examined the container that he had personally sealed to ensure it hadn't been tampered with, looked at the word from the person with supernatural abilities, confirmed its accuracy, and came to believe that supernatural abilities do exist. Soon afterward, Hu instructed the Ministry of Propaganda of the CCP Central Committee to follow a policy of 3 no's on matters of Qigong: no publicizing, no debating, no criticizing. He also instructed that a small number of people be allowed to research the phenomenon. In April of 1982, the ministry thus proceeded to issue a notice that the message was to be passed on. And this was the well-known policy of 3 no's. However, someone acted on the contrary with a hidden agenda. Huo Shu, Luo Gan's brother-in-law, was known as the academician of the 2 academies. He'd be more accurately described as a political opportunist. He'd be good at passing himself out as a statesman while in the company of scientists, and a scientist in the company of politicians. He was extremely skilled in critiquing genuine science on politically informed ideological ground. Because of his political contribution by way of attacking politically incorrect sciences, and safeguarding party ideology, He was recommended, in strong terms, by Red Flag, the state-run journal, for promotion to the Chinese Academy of Sciences. Following his promotion, He continued to utilize his credentials in the political service for the CCP, especially for its top leaders. In 2001, when Jiang Zemin's theory of 3 represents was being trumpeted, He gave a speech at a conference on quantum mechanics, at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, in which he declared, "The laws of quantum mechanics conform to the spirit of Jiang Zemin's 3 represents." Several honest scholars with integrity promptly left the conference. Many more felt indignant, but dared not speak out. In May of 1998, Huo Shu fomented an incident involving Beijing television. He raked a story up about Falun Gong for a program run on Beijing TV, called Beijing Express. He told a reporter that a PhD student at the Chinese Academy of Sciences had developed psychosis as a result of practicing Falun Gong. Many persons who had benefited from the practice of Falun Gong went to Beijing television, of their own accord, to explain the truth of the matter. While the student did exhibit abnormal behavior, it had nothing to do with Falun Gong. One person at the station, a deputy director, noticed the peacefulness of the group. Upon learning the truth of things, he decided at once to produce another program. This time was to undo the negative impact of the erroneous story. The issue was resolved satisfactorily. One deputy mayor in Beijing personally instructed the Beijing-based media not to run any of Hu's misleading articles. However, Huo Shu set his sight elsewhere to defame Falun Gong. In April of 1999, He published an article entitled "I Don't Support Young People Practice in Qigong," in a small newspaper in the city of Tianjin, again framing up Falun Gong, which made several thousand followers of the practice, going out of their own accord to see the editorial department of the newspaper, and talk about the matter. But just as the group was about to end what had been a calm and rational meeting, and the publisher of the newspaper was ready to publish a correction, the Tianjin city government suddenly dispatched riot police to disperse those who had gathered outside the office. A total of 45 Falun Gong practitioners were beaten and arrested. The Tianjin municipal government then told those at present that the order to quell the crowd had come from Beijing, and thus encouraged the group to go to Beijing to report the matter. He Zuoxu knew that his in-law, Luo Gan, had seen a way to win favor with Jiang Zemin by attacking Falun Gong, and thus he did his utmost to discredit Falun Gong in the name of science. All of this was part of their plan to trap Falun Gong practitioners, and later on, indeed, touched off the vicious persecution of Falun Gong. Jiang Zemin had read Zhuan Falun and knew Falun Gong was a beneficial practice. He knew all of these accusations were false. However, with so many people were practicing Falun Gong, and believing in Mr. Li's teachings, particularly that nobody took his theory of three represents seriously, Jiang had been jealous. All of these false accusations offered him a good chance to initiate a crackdown.